I got to ask you about this idea of footholds. We've
Yeah.
discussed this on the show before with, I think we were discussing it with Father Carlos Martin. And then we also were discussing it with Sean Tobin.
Mhm.
And this idea that, there's either sins or getting involved in the occult that are make you more susceptible to a demonic opening where there could be oppression and then maybe eventually possession. And then also, it was Father Dan Rehal actually discussing this.
Yeah.
There are Dan, yeah. There are actual, kids who get impacted because of the sins of their parents or generational sins.
Right.
What is your view
They're all true. You could, if you've done this long enough, you'll see the many ways that people can end up with demons. It can be because you have invited them in. If you do divination long enough, you play with your tarot cards long enough, Ouija boards, sooner or later, you're gonna have a problem. So yeah, if you do something wrong and invite Satan in, he's gonna answer the phone call. On the other hand, we have a number of people who they wake up when they're 22 or 23, find out that the whole life they've been living with their parents. They've been going to Santeria, voodoo, witchcraft and stuff. My mother's a witch, whatever, that sort of thing. And so they, through no fault of their own, or for example, this happens. This is very common. And say, talk to our priest friends in the Philippines, where if you're poor and they can't afford a doctor, if you're sick as a kid, you take your kid to the local faith healer who does this sort of chicken thing, or kill the chicken and pour the blood, whatever. All these kind of pagan practices, which the result is you could be kind of slimed by a bunch of demonic presence. And if it's long enough and deep enough, you can end up being possessed, or at least certainly afflicted in some way. So, but there's lots of different ways to get a demonic presence. I say this often because it's so important today. People say, well, are there more people possessed today or not? Well, it does appear to be. Why? I've got this 3-step process I often speak of to get possessed. I don't suggest you take it. Step 1, stop practicing the faith. The faith is your shield, Ephesians 6. Faith is your shield. Jesus is your shield. He protects you. Drop the shields. Stop practicing the faith. 2, start committing serious sins. We know what they are, even if you don't like to hear it. You know what the sins are. Start doing those sins, Yeah. And so,
what are those sins? Just for folks listening, remind us. Because in our culture, they call sin virtue and virtue sin.
Read the 10 Commandments.
There you go. Read the 10 Commandments.
Okay, so.
Do what it says.
Yeah, right. Jesus wasn't kidding. 10 Commandments, right. So sins creates these inner wounds, whatever. And then 3, do something with the occult, divination, tarot cards, witchcraft, curses, whatever, and that gives Satan a ticket. You do those 3 things, sooner or later, you will have a problem.
I think some people look at what could be demonic and write it off as maybe even mental health or as just other issues, or they kind of maybe believe in some sort of new age spirituality, but maybe they're just like the darker angels, but then they have the better angels. What would you say are some clear signs to indicate, no, we're talking about Satan, we're talking about God?
Well, this is where being a licensed psychologist helps. There are psychotic illnesses which might appear to be possession, but are not. And it's very sad, someone who's got a psychosis, schizophrenic, whatever. I mean, it's a very sad thing, but it's a medical, psychological, it's not possession. And sometimes they're convinced, oh, I've got demons, I got this terrible voice in my head. No, it's your psychosis. Take your medications. And when you take your medications, that oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes will stop what we call the active symptoms of a psychosis, the voices, that sort of thing. It won't stop what we call the passive symptoms, lethargy and that sort of thing. But so take your meds, and an exorcism won't help you. If I've got a bipolar 1 person or a real DID or real schizophrenia, I can pray over that person for 10 years and won't really do them any good. So, but there are faux psychoses, what looks like a psychosis, but it isn't really, and it's really a demonic presence. Now, your question going, how can I tell the difference? Well, spend 20 years doing exorcisms and
Call
then
you.
Yeah, call,
Call
20,
you.
Don't call him. I got too many cases. Call your local
Gotta
guy.
call somebody,
Yeah,
Father.
don't call
You're
me.
Monsignor.
Call your. That's what I tell people. Don't forget. Call your local guys. You know, your local priests.
They're like, we want Monsignor Rossetti.
Yeah, that's what they all say. People, well,
The guy's got great jokes. So.
Yeah, great jokes. Yeah, people say, well, yeah, Rosetti's going to fix me. No, not really. I don't. Actually, I'm nothing special, Frank. I've just been doing it long enough. But people don't realize that people will call up and say, my exorcist is failing and I want you to do it. And I say, I would say the same prayers that he does. Same prayers. Another priest. I can't do anything that he can't do. You need to be patient, by the way. You've only been, how long has he been praying over? 6 months. Call me after 4 years. You know, so I don't have any special powers. I'm just simply a priest. And when you're made an exorcist, that doesn't give you any new powers. It gives you an authority. I have authority to pray over the solemnly possessed. They need a solemn possession, a solemn exorcism. So I have the authority to pray over them and do a solemn exorcism. But the authority, the power I have as a priest is just because I'm a priest. And every priest has it. So don't come to Monsignor Rossetti and think I'm going to do something special for you. Talk to your local priest.
There's no Monsignor Rossetti special.
No.
There's got to be some, but I see what you're saying. God gives us our dioceses that we physically live in. He gives us the exorcists within those dioceses or adjacent, and those are who God has given to us to help us.
Yeah. And I'm very clear with that with our new exorcists that why it works. Why is it that people in this country and around the world, if you got demons, you call a Catholic priest? Everyone knows that. Who do you call? You got demons, you call a priest. Why? People know that Jesus founded the church and Jesus gave his church the authority to cast out demons. And then the bishop wrote me a letter and said, hey, Rossetti, you're it. You're my vicar on this, and you're going to do these for me. Fine. So I wield the authority of Christ in the church. That's all. And so what do I basically pray? I pray the church's prayer, the rite of exorcism. Now I'll do other prayers too, but fundamentally it's the authority of Christ in the church, praying the prayers of the church that casts out the demons. It's not Steve Rossetti.